Right, so I mostly work on the coupling and dynamics of the solar atmosphere. We know that magnetic field is generated deep inside and it connects the whole atmosphere through magnetic field. So my aim is to essentially try to understand that how the atmosphere is connected and how the energy and mass flow happens from one layer to other layer of the atmosphere. That will help us understand the heating of the upper solar atmosphere and also then origin of the solar wind. Right. So my research journey essentially started when I joined PhD. Before that, I had no idea about what astronomy is. When I was doing MSc, after MSc first year, I went for a summer school, and that was a summer school in astronomy and astrophysics at IUCAA Pune. And going there, I got introduced to various things in astronomy, including solar physics, and that sort of shaped me or got me introduced to astrophysics and prepared me to take astronomy and astrophysics as a special paper in MSc final year. We had 6 different specializations: solid state electronics, spectroscopy, and all that. And one of them was astronomy astrophysics, and I took astronomy astrophysics. And so I had 2 interests at that time. One was related to aliens, existence of their hot corona and stuff like that. And the other was the existence of hot corona in the solar physics. So both essentially looking at similar kind of phenomena. And then I got admitted to Max Planck Institute for solar system research, and I worked on coronal mass ejections. So looking at their source region particularly, with the main aim to focus that how actually do they initiate. And with that, I realized that then everything has to be magnetic field. So I then wanted to do not only coronal mass ejection, but broaden your horizon while keeping your niche. And I started getting into spectroscopy, and I started looking at coronal heating problem. And then, as we understand now that everything is connected, just looking at the corona from coronal perspective and only looking at one particular layer, you'll have to go all the way through to the chromosphere and photosphere. So when I returned, there was this opportunity to propose different payloads, and I said, well, we should be looking at chromosphere because there is a lot of coronal data, and we proposed SOOT, and SOOT is now built, and now we are looking at the whole atmosphere in a totality. I actually, if you ask me, I'm sure there must have been many, but since the goal was very, very focused, those things just get subsided. And I have a tendency of not remembering anything which bad happened to me. I very often remember the way I was supported by many people, but I'm also sure that there have been instances where people would not have supported me, but then I don't care because the support was so strong, and that I only care about that. And I feel really grateful to those people who have always stepped in at right moment, and I have found right people at right moment to guide. And that is a very, very important aspect of doing research, and you want to grow and do new things. Whenever you want to do something new, and as very young person, you don't really have enough confidence that can this be done. And then if you find that some people are agreeing to your ideas or sort of having similar perspective, then you get confidence, and then you get support, and you move on. So that's what I remember. I actually don't remember anything which happened wrong to me. Actually, no. Right, as I said, the challenges I keep forgetting, but as I said, once your goal is defined, that what actually you want to do, then you also need to find right people, right? And let me see if I can remember some instances. For example, I wanted to do a PhD. When I did my MSc, like everyone else of us, applied for various places to get into a PhD program, and I didn't manage to get into at the time of MSc. So then I was preparing for about 6 months, and the main idea of that preparation was a lot of my friends were doing preparation for IAS because they wanted to get into administrative services, but I was just preparing physics to get into a PhD program. And usually the exams and everything happens in January afterwards. And during that time, I applied to Max Planck, and that happened at that time. And I got an offer in December, so I didn't bother writing other exams later on. So at that time, you want to do a PhD and you didn't get, so that was a big setback. But then there were teachers. I actually was fortunate enough to get good teachers who could motivate you. It did not happen this time, so it will happen again. Don't have to give up or do something. So that was one sort of problem. There's a lot of pressure, because coming from a very lower middle class family, if you like, or middle class family, and if you don't get into something soon after MSc, there is a pressure built up. Or if you're preparing for some other goal, like if you say I'm preparing for IAS, right? Then people will say, okay, you have some time, it takes some time. If you say, oh, I want to get into PhD program, and you're preparing for that, I mean, how does that work, right? So that was one setback. Then, of course, when you do PhD, then depending on what you're doing, who is your supervisor and all that thing comes in. And then I've always found some right people just pitched in and that got helped and moved forward. So if your goals are clear, I don't think there is any setback. You want to do it. They are much more smarter than us, so I don't think there are suggestions. But what I feel, for example, let me start with undergraduate students. What I feel at the moment is that a lot of undergraduate students, they want to pursue different projects, which might be okay, that you get to see different areas and get a feel of it. But then, having been at IUCAA for 10 years, I find that although they have done many projects, they really have not developed deep understanding in any of those. And while doing all these projects, they have also not been able to get into the deep physics. And for doing research, you need that, right? So while doing a project is okay, it's nice, but you do one project, and take it to the end where you understand when somebody asks you, then you should be able to clearly explain what is the motive, what methodology you used. You may get a result or you do not get a result, right? Nobody cares about actually a result. How much you understood about the project is something very, very important. But then don't also spend all your time just looking for projects, writing to people, this and that, just focus on your basic physics and then get into a PhD program and then you do research. So that's another way. So I feel that a lot of undergraduate students, they just go astray and not being able to focus on one thing. For students who are doing PhD or research already, there is a big competition, right? And when you do academia, you are particularly in physics, for example, what people have a tendency to do is to take one particular area and do their research by neglecting everything else. And research has become so interdisciplinary that unless you are able to connect things from one area to the other area, you would not be able to succeed very much. So while of course you have to produce niche in the subject you're working on, but the niche will only come when you can import techniques from different areas and apply into yours, and that is what will give you new. Otherwise, all these traditional things have been done, right? So that is why this focus of interdisciplinary research. And the third thing also is to develop skills. You know, how skillful you are, which can take you not into academic position but also in industry, right? You should be able to go and just take over an industry that, you know, I have physics background, I have these skill sets, I am far better than those engineers who are just only their skill set, right? So with this mindset, if you go in research, then I don't think then you beat the competition.